Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to Quilt Conversations Live. I'm Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Water Quilter. Hello, Rosemary. Hello, Sheila. Copper. Sherry. Who else is out there? Marcia. Hello. Hello, Wilda. Hello, hello. So glad you ladies are here. And Monica. Hello, Monica. Hello, Lorraine. This week went by quick. How many of you had a chance to sew or to quilt? Raise your hand. Yes, I did do some sewing. I sewed a couple of blocks. We're surprising someone with a quilt, so a lot of us made these signature blocks, and I mailed those out this week. Headed to Montana, Sherry. Wow. Oh, that's wonderful to visit your grandson. Fantastic. Congratulations. Hello, Copper. All right. Let's see. Hello, Bonita. Hello, Bonita. How are you? Did I miss anyone? Copper, Sheila. Hello, Sheila. Sherry, Rosemary, Wilda, Monica, Bonita. I'm so glad all of you ladies are here, and hello to those who are watching on the replay. Welcome. I hope you can join us one day here live on Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If not, you're watching the replay. Welcome. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I will respond. We are doing, hello, Amanda. How are you? Everyone say hello to my beautiful niece, Amanda Paul. She just had a little baby, baby Rain. He's adorable. He's so cute. I can't wait to meet him in person. Let's see. Did I miss anyone? Nope. I got everybody. Yay. I'm so glad to be with you ladies once again. Once again. Happy, happy, happy. I really love being here. And I look forward to it every week. So we are going to continue our discussion on art quilts. I thought we were finished last week, but we're not finished. We are going to go back to art quilts. This is the last week, week number 5. I hope. I think so. But question for you. What order? Do you want to look at the last art quilt, or do you want to look at, I can't help it. I told Terry that I would wait until after the art quilt series to show the progress that she's making on her sampler quilt. But I thought I'd show it tonight, and plus, I got some photos from a quilt that Monica recently finished. So we can either start the art quilt for today, or we can start by doing a little show and share from Terry and Monica, or we can start with quilt bingo. Which would you like to start with? Yes, you do need some glasses like that, Sherry. It's fun. Yeah. All right. What should we do first? Quilt bingo? Show and share with Monica and Terry, or art quilt? So Sheila so far has says let's do show and share first. That's one vote. Is that 2 votes, Monica Copper? Okay. So far it's even. Show and share. Is that what we're going to do first? I'm just so excited to see the progress that both of these ladies are making, and they're just digging deep in. Both are in the online mini course, Alphabet Design eBook mini course. They're both taking that class. Bonita says show and share. Wilda says bring on the eye candy. All right. I'm convinced. We're going to do that first. So we're going to look at Terry. Remember, Terry is doing a sampler quilt. She pieced a sampler quilt, and her goal was for each block to quilt a different free motion quilting design. And she's using this as a way to increase her skills, to get practice, and get over being nervous about quilting on real quilts. So we're going to look at some individual blocks to show her progress. And Terry, let us know. You are here, right, Terry? I hope so. I'm checking in the chat. Is Terry here? She won't be able to answer any questions. Yeah, I don't think she's here. Okay. Instead, I'll show Monica first in case Terry comes a little bit later, because I don't see Terry in the chat. All right, so we'll show Monica. I know Monica is here. All right, so let's do Monica first. All right, everyone sitting down. Beautiful quilt. Monica, you're going to have to fill in all the details about this quilt. All right, here it is, ladies. Beautiful baby quilt that she made with the pineapple block. She put a lot of work into this quilt. She has a beautiful polka dot border, which I love. Beautiful stripe binding. She really played well with the fabric choices. I love the panda fussy cutting in each block. Isn't it pretty? I love it. This is a commissioned quilt. This is her first quilt that she got commissioned to make for a couple. Is that right, Monica? Tell everyone about some of the first things that you've done in this quilt. There's a lot of firsts. Yep. It's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let me see if I can move this. Okay. I need to move this out of the way. All right. Why are my comments so small? Yes, it's lovely. Stunning is correct. There we go. That's a little bit better. I love the polka dot border. Yes. It's the first quilt that she has made and sold. Congratulations, Monica. Congratulations. A custom design by her. Wonderful. Beautiful. Great job. So let me show you some close-ups. Let's see a close-up. Let's look at some of this quilting because, you know, we're all about machine quilting here, right? Look at this beautiful feather border that she's quilted. And the stripe binding. I love that stripe binding next to the polka dots. Raise your hand. I know. I love it. I love it. Love it. Yes. Copper. Yes. Everything that she put together is just beautiful. Did you select the pineapple block or did your client, your customer, select that? Yeah, Sheila, she did a great job on the feathers. Some echoing on the feathers. She did a good job turning that corner, bringing the feather spine up and the plumes, rounding that corner. Good job on that, Monica. All right, you selected the pineapple block. Has your client seen the quilt already? What was their response? Yeah, that's right, Copper. Spectacular piecing and quilting. Well done, well done. Plumes and pebbles. And Sherry likes the stripe binding like I do. I love it. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Great job and unique. Custom design. And Marcia says, wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. And she did some special quilting for the first time. She used her new circle templates, her Westerly Design Circles on Quilts templates. What set do you have, Monica? Is it the 4-piece set or 2-piece set? And how big are your circles on this quilt? How far do they go out? I see a number of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 concentric circles on some. Do they vary? And how did you select where to put the circles? All right, Terry, yay, you're here. Woohoo. Oh, and her client loves it. Loves it, loves it. Wonderful. It's in the mail, heading to its new home. Okay, so Monica says that she has the four-piece set, 2 to 18 inches, and they vary. She just did them in random places. Wonderful. Was it easy, fun? Do you like the circles? Will you do it again? Do you have other ideas? Sheila, yeah, I agree. I think everyone does. It's a great theme and quilting. Good job, Monica. Good job. Yep, over the moon. And Terry's been inspired to practice her feathers. So your client wanted a panda theme, black and white and mint or pink. And so you have all the pink in there, the black and white and the panda. Wonderful. Very inspiring. Very inspiring. Beautiful quilt. Congratulations, Monica. I know you will have many more clients to come. Beautiful quilt. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so next is Terry. Terry's working on her sampler quilt. I think I'm going to show 5 blocks today, individually quilted, 4 or 5. And Terry, you're going to have to fill in the gaps on what I show. Give us the lowdown on what you are doing in each block. Okay, so this is the first one. This is the first one where you have some straight line quilting. Yes, some straight line quilting with some triangles, filling in the space. All right, Terry, fantastic. Congratulations. She just completed the last of the 25 blocks and she's moving on to her borders. Little by little, little by little. Straight lines, dot to dot. Awesome. Okay. Let's look at the next one. So in this one, I think you have meander in the background. I don't necessarily see any quilting on the circle. Can you ladies see that? Can you see the quilting? Yeah, Monica, the straight lines were very nice. Yeah, she is quick. She's doing a little by little, and it goes fast. We think, oh, it's a big quilt. It'll take me forever. But if we go step by step, little by little, it gets done. It just does. Okay, so Terry says no quilting in the middle, but she has quilting around the circle. on this one. And ladies, sometimes we just need to keep it simple. Every block doesn't have to be complicated. Um, okay, and then the next one. All right, I see some quilting in the black strips, and they look like paisley or leaves. Is it paisley? Yeah, the fabrics are fun. The fabrics are fun. Nice colors, bright, beautiful against that black background. Yeah, quilt all day. Pretend I don't have a job. That's funny, Monica. Yes, yes. So Terry confirms, yes, she did do paisley. Beautiful. Well done. Well done. Are you getting more comfortable now that you've done 25 individual blocks? Compare your experience from the first block to the 25th. Did you improve? Did you feel more confident? Did you learn what designs you want to practice more? Are there designs that you really honed in and liked the results? How do you evaluate that experience of separately quilting each of the 25 blocks? So Sheila wants to know too, are the blocks separated by stitching in the ditch? Yeah, Sherry, I look forward to seeing the whole quilt. Hopefully, Terry, you'll take a picture for us to see the whole quilt. We'd love to see it all finished after you do your borders. That's a good point, Terry. When we do practice on a real quilt, we learn a lot of things. How we like to move from one area to the next in the quilt, and how we don't like to move. We also learn what designs we like and don't like, ones that we do well, ones we need to practice. Each quilt, each project is a learning process. Okay. Okay, so Terry, you did stitch in the ditch first for all 25 blocks before you quilted them individually. Let's go to the next one. Okay. And so here's one with some fancy stitches. Look at that. Some swirls and I would say leaves. Is that correct, Terry? Wonderful. She's going to photograph the whole quilt for us. Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Nice work, Terry. You have an eye for color and fabric. That's very kind of you, Monica. It's awesome to get encouraged by our fellow quilters. That's why I love show and share. So anyone who wants to have me share a quilt that they're working on, I'm happy to do that. Sherry or Copper, anyone, just send me by email. Okay, especially, we're focusing on machine quilting. So that's the kind of things that we want to share. So if you're working on something, machine quilting, some tips that you've learned during Quilt Conversations Live, or you have a new tool, like Monica got the circles on quilts, and she was encouraged to venture out with circles, and she did. Just share, send me an email, let me know, and I'd be happy to share. And then everyone can see your work and your progress and encourage you to keep going. Yeah, I have that line tamer ruler too. I like that ruler. Uh, These swirls and leaves are lovely. Oh, this is one of the first blocks that you did. Wow. Yes, we all have ideas to share with one another, and thanks to both Monica and to Terry for sharing their progress and their quilts, because when you do that, you help us, you give us inspiration. Where do you find my email? It's in the description box below the YouTube video. You can go to my website, livingwaterquilter.com, or simple, Dena, Dena, at livingwaterquilter.com. I'll put it in the comments on YouTube. Okay. Hopefully I spelled it right. I need glasses when I'm typing this small. All right. I put it in the comments, Copper. All right. All right. And Sherry, you've been working on more detailed designs. Wonderful. All right. Oh, Terry, I'm so pleased and happy to hear that. We do need a safe place where we can feel encouraged to share our progress. I'm so glad that that place is here for you and that you're no longer afraid. It makes me happy to hear that. It really does. Awesome. Okay, so now it's time for bingo. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Monica. Thank you for sharing your progress. 3 cheers for our sisters here, willing to share their work. Oh, thanks, Sherry. Thank you. All right, Copper, you got it. It's so true. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, we are going to play Quilt Bingo. And hopefully it's not as hard as last time. Get a piece of paper. Get a piece of paper. Quilt Bingo, you need a piece of paper, and you're going to do 3 lines across and 3 lines down for a 4x4 grid. And how you play, if this is your first time here, once we start to play, each box is going to be revealed one at a time. And if you have made, the theme today is star quilt block. If you've made that star quilt block, you're going to put an X. And you get bingo when you get 4 across or down or diagonally. So again, you may not have heard of some of these blocks, and if you haven't, you might want to look it up and see what it looks like. Copper, you want it to be blocks we have not made. Okay. Since last time, a lot of us did not make those blocks. Let's do it that way. I will agree with that. Is everyone okay with that? It's going to be blocks, star blocks we have not made. Is that okay with everyone? Give me a thumbs up or yes, comment, or okay, it's okay. Blocks that we have not made, star blocks we have not made. It's a little reversal. I guess last time I think only one person got bingo because the blocks were pretty hard. Sherry's like, good idea. And maybe you'll win now. Maybe we'll all win. All right, cool. Let's start. All right, where's my bingo game? Here we go. I'm assuming everyone is ready, right? Okay, these are star quilt blocks that you have not made. The evening star. Have you made the evening star? If you haven't, put an X and you're one step closer to bingo. Have you made an inverted star? Inverted star. Yeah, Marsha, I love seeing the ladies' quilts too. It's inspirational. Have you made a campfire star quilt block? Never heard of it. I guess this is going to be a good idea. What about a Christmas star? If you have not made the block, you're going to put an X. Have you made a split Ohio star quilt block? An entwined quilt block, star quilt block. Well, I thought about that, Sherry, but I don't have permission to use the photos of those blocks. So I can't just take the blocks and use them. I'd have to get permission. Friendship star. Or I'd have to make all the blocks and take pictures myself. Alpine star. Anyone have bingo yet? Blueberry pie star. Then there's the bear tracks. Well, yeah, in my spare time, Sherry, I'll make all these quilt blocks. Blazing star. Bingo. Oh, copper. Union Square. Diamond star. The lily star. Funny, funny, funny. And the burning star. Awesome, awesome. You know what, Sherry? I just thought that it might be possible if I ask permission from a company that I work with, if I can use some of their blocks for this game. We'll see. I'll ask permission and see if next time we can use pictures instead of words. Okay? All right. Awesome. Bingo 3 times. Okay, Monica, you got bingo. Anyone else? There's only one on the list that Copper has made. Well, that clip art, that's if they have free clip art of star blocks. I'll have to do my research, ladies. I know pictures might be a little bit better for these strange, unusual names of quilt blocks that we're not used to. But I think doing the reverse made it fun. So thanks, Copper, for that suggestion. Quilt blocks that we haven't made. All right, I will look into trying to use photos the next time. Okay, so bingo. Lorraine, I didn't think you would get bingo. You're such a prolific quilter. I assume that you've made most of these blocks. All right. So here we go. We are going to talk about this quilt panel. It's a pre-printed panel. It's 16 inches by 16, or 16 and a half by 16 and a half. They give you enough for seam allowance. And it's called the Tulip Whole Cloth. It's from the Stencil Company, and I put the link to their website um, in the YouTube description box, so you can go take a look. Every once in a while, they'll have a sale on their quilt panels. These are whole cloth, pre-printed designs. They have all kinds, and they have multiple colors. So this is natural. You can get it in blue and black and white. I think that's it. Blue, black, white, and natural. And you can stitch the design as is, or you can embellish. And I've embellished. And so we're going to talk about the embellishments. This is the 16-inch finished whole cloth. It's just one piece of fabric where the design is printed on the surface of the fabric and it washes out when you're finished. Okay. So we're going to look at that. Here is, see, pre-printed mini whole cloth, top only. I love these because it's a low commitment, not a lot of time. You can decide how much you want to quilt it, how little you want to quilt it. You can use it to experiment with different threads and techniques. It's a free motion quilting playground. I love pre-printed. So if you don't want to, like the first 4 videos in this Art Quilt for Beginner series where you transfer the design, you can instead get, what does it mean top only? It means that there's no backing fabric. You just have a quilt top. No backing fabric, no batting. It's just the front of the quilt. Okay. Oh, thank you, Copper. Bet you like the embellishments. So you can see from this image what is printed on the fabric. You can see the tulips, the 3 leaves, the stems. You can see the border design. And so it's up to us what we want to quilt and how we want to quilt it. Do we want to use blending thread, contrasting thread? And so I'm going to walk you through what I did with this one. And I'm going to use an overhead camera to show you the black and white. Not black and white. One printed on black fabric. One printed on black fabric. Okay, let me hide this first. So this is the same one with black fabric. And you can see that it's just lines. These lines will all wash out. And I can quilt them. I can fill in any area that I want. I can fill in designs in the background that I want. And I can follow the border any way that I want. You see they have this plus sign at the top. In mine, I continued with the diamond theme. I just made another diamond in the corner. Okay. You can purchase the panel at quiltingstencil.com. The link is in the YouTube video. I think you're on Facebook, Benita. Let me go to the YouTube channel at the end of this live session. The link is going to be in this description box below the video. You like that idea, Sherry? Okay. Yeah. It's a neat idea. So look at the difference between before it was quilted and after I quilted, and the different things that I did on the tulips. We have some thread painting. We have some embellishments in here. We also have some embellishments in the petals. There's multiple threads on the stems. I added green thread, several colors. I added a light green on top of the dark green that I filled in with free motion embroidery. I didn't do much in the leaves themselves. I just did a little bit out of an outline and one echo. Yes, so I used wool batting to help give that dimension, to make the flowers and the leaves all have puffiness, but also what helps that is the dense quilting in the background. That dense quilting is called McTavishing. It's a design created by Karen McTavish. I don't know if you've heard of her. You can go to her website. She's well known for that design, McTavishing. It's named after her. It's a beautiful motif that you can use in the background to fill around applique or to use anywhere you like. Now for this one, how did I outline the flowers in red? Let me move to the next slide. So, Sherry, are you asking about the red thread that's not just one line of stitching, but several? It looks like embroidery. It's freehand, free motion embroidery. Basically, what I do is, yes, it's the thickness. How did you outline the flowers in the red? So, let me show you again. I'll go back one. Okay. So, of course, first I followed around the outline that's pre-printed on the panel, right? Then I did some additional stitching along the outside. Can you see that the red is extra along the perimeter of? Okay, that was my choice. I can decide to do that and where to do it. It's all up to you, to the artist, to the quilter. And how I do that, let me go back here. Oops, not that one. We want this one. So remember in the last session when I talked about line thickness that you can, with your machine, stitch one line, but sometimes that's not enough. You need to have a thicker representation of an out of the line. And so I would go back and forth and add additional stitching, but there's a method to that. You don't want to try and line them up one after the other, because then you have these gaps. Can you see that? Those gaps. You don't want the gaps. So what I do is first I will go around whatever the object is. In this case, it's a flower. Then I will do a second line knowing that I want to fill in this gap. So I don't want to go beyond here or beyond here. I want to have it that thick, the line that thick. So then I start to stitch up and down, almost like in a zigzag, overlapping with long and short stitches. Does that make sense to everybody? How I do that? Makes that better. You see the difference? Yes, it's the same weight thread. The same thread. I don't change that. So I decide how thick I want the line to be. If I want the line to be that thick, then I do the second line and then I stitch in between the two, making long and short strokes and overlapping. I vary the strokes up and down, long and short. All right, that's how I do it. Okay, let's go back. So I did some McTavishing, and this is a tight area. And for those of you taking the Free Motion Quilting Alphabet ebook course, when you do that and want the end thread, can you just cut instead of burying? I think so, Copper. Sometimes I will, you know what? In this case, I wouldn't do that. If it's at the edge of the quilt, I might cut, but I don't want some small pieces of thread sticking up on the top of the quilt surface. What I might do is cut a long tail at the very top and then bring it to the back. Then I will cut it instead of burying. But if I cut it at the front of the quilt, you might have some short thread hairs on the surface of the quilt. Yes, Sherry, stems done in the same way. And then on top of that, I did a light green thread on top of the dark green, excuse me, to give it some shadowing, some texture. All right, hopefully, Copper, that made sense. So anyway, the McTavishing, for those of you taking the Alphabet Design ebook mini course, we talk about using different strokes, shapes from the alphabet to help us make designs. And the McTavishing is very similar to that. I see it as the letter S. And so when I do the letter S, that's what the background is. I'm going to change cameras here. Okay, so when I do the letter S and I'm doing McTavishing, it starts like that. And so I'm doing S on top of S. Now I want to start another S. And I do several, and I can do as many as I want on that echo. And I can come back and start another one. Or come in the middle and start another direction. Does that make sense to everybody? See how that happened? That's McTavishing. It's basically the letter S, and you just have to practice. And you can vary the direction anytime that you want. So here's the letter S on its side, and I just echo that S. Then I'll extend it to start another letter S. I want to go in another direction. Okay. All right. Okay, so Monica says that it makes sense. She's tried McTavishing before, and it was really hard. She's going to practice again using the letter S. That's how I like to do it and think of it. Okay, so just practice that. Those are in the alphabet course. I want to see your practice. Practice on a quilt sandwich and share a photo in the community. Well, Wilda, you know I've been practicing over and over again, right? Okay, let's get back. Practice, 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 right? Paper first, whiteboard first, quilt sandwich, then your quilt. So, Monica, are you saying you're going to practice and then post a photo in our community? I hope so. We want to see it. Okay, let's see. So here's an overview picture. Terry, you'd asked this question about thread weight. I don't know if you can tell from this photo, it's the best one I have, I think, to show the progress. I'm using a blending thread, and I'm using two different weights. The thread is the same color as the background for both around the flowers and the border, but the weight is different. I'm using 60 weight thread around the flowers because I wanted the quilting to be denser, but I didn't want the quilting to be heavy with heavy thread. It's 60 weight thread around the flowers with the McTavishing. I believe that if it was 40 weight thread, it would have been too heavy a look. I wanted the flowers to stand out, and to help them stand out, I used wool batting, and I used a dense quilting pattern in the background. And when you want to use dense quilting, you want to use a lighter weight thread. Okay, Sheila, it might be easier than feathers. It just might be, Sheila. Do I need to give you an assignment too? Hopefully I'm going to see some of your McTavishing, some of your practice photos. Yes, I love bottom line. I left a link again, YouTube channel, bottom line thread. It's available in my affiliate Amazon shop. I show you the basic ones that I use all the time. And if you want a good blending thread for stitch in the ditch for most quilts, I like to use bottom line 60 weight. It's a middle of the road medium value. That means when it's medium value, it will work with most fabrics. Of course, not with black or bright white, but something that's middle of the road that will work with most fabrics. Bottom line, I love it for stitch in a ditch because it will just seep into that seam. It's so lightweight. Okay. Awesome, Monica. Yay, I can't wait to see it. So can you see in this photo the dense free motion McTavishing around the flowers, but look at the size of the McTavishing in the border. It's a thicker thread, and I increase the scale. It's a lot bigger. What color bottom line? I think the number is 632 for that bottom line that I like to use for Stitch in a Ditch. I will double check, but I believe the number is 632. Let me see if I can even call that up right now. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Thread, bottom line, 632, bottom line. Okay. All right. Thread, bottom line. Okay. Six. No, let's see. One more page. Let's see. 6. Nope, it's not 632, it's 623. 623. All right, 623 for the bottom line for stitching the ditch. It's a grayish, pale grayish color. All right. Now, also, do you see what I did with the red in the framing of the flowers? That's more free motion embroidery. The same technique that I used around the edge of each tulip, I filled in that red frame border. It appears in 2 spots. Do you ladies see that? Okay, Monica, I'm going to look into that. Once you use the link, you can make my Amazon shop a follow or a favorite. Make it a favorite, and then you can save it. That way you can find it easier. Yes, Sheila, thread is important. You need to invest in some good thread. And basically, I use 3 different weights. I use 40 weight mostly, and then I use 50 and 60. 60 is my bottom line. 60 weight thread I use for bobbins, for stitching the ditch, and when I want to do dense quilting without a heavy thread look. 50 weight is my piecing thread and my middle of the road free motion, and 40 is my main free motion quilting thread. I will free motion quilt with 50 or 60 when I want a different look, but most of my quilting is with 40 weight. My piecing is with 50 weight, and bottom line is my bobbin thread or my lightweight dense quilting thread. My preference, but that's the 3 that I use. 40, 50, and 60. Simple. It's once in a while I might use a heavier weight for a specific project, but those are my main threads. Find what threads work for you. What is the best way to try out all this thread? I tend to stick with the same one since it works. And that's a good plan, especially when we're learning. We stick to the same thread. Like for all my free motion quilting, like I mentioned, Sherry, I use 40 weight thread. Once in a while, I might use 50 or 60. Try another one to what you already like. So if you like a 50 weight thread, say Aurifil, then add bottom line and see how you like it. See how it works as a stitch in a ditch thread. See how you like it as a bobbin thread. When you combine 60 weight with 50, see how that works when the 60 is a bobbin thread. You also have a long arm. I have a sit down long arm, but I do this in both my domestic machine as well as my long arm. I will use bottom line 60 weight thread in my bobbin. if I want a light look on the back of the quilt. Especially if I'm doing a lot of quilting in a project, I will tend to go with bottom line because it's a lighter thread. Yes, it's an investment, but it's needed. And I think, and if you narrow down your selection, you start with one, you use it to help you learn, add one more, see if you like it, whether it's bottom line, 60 weight, or a 50 weight thread that you use in piecing, and see which ones you like for machine quilting. It's personal choice and preference, and also what your ultimate goal is. Do you want the quilting to be seen? Do you want it not to be seen? In doing the red free motion embroidery, that's 40 weight thread. I wanted that to be seen not just by the color, but by the texture. And so the 40 weight thread was going to do that faster than a 60 weight thread. A 60 weight thread, if I wanted to be seen in free motion embroidery, it's going to be too thin. However, I will use 60 weight thread when I'm doing lettering. So on your decorative stitches on your machine, if you are able to do letters, I prefer 60 weight thread so that each letter is distinct. Yes, and you may have noticed that I stopped filling in the red thread on the second border because that dense quilting will shrink the quilt. And I should have actually left that to the very end because it shrinks the quilt. I should have quilted everything else and left the embroidery borders to the very end, the embroidery frames to the end. All right, I'm going to move along because we are already at 1 hour. Let's see. Okay, so here's a picture that shows you the batting. I have the cotton batting. And for this one, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but when you do that amount of quilting, it shrinks and things can get distorted. And so you see those pins in the corner? I am taking that and right now I'm getting a brain freeze. Yes, wool batting. When you want to square a quilt, I washed it, it's wet, and I got some installation foam from a convenience home center. And it's just a flat board, foam board, where I can push pins through. So the whole quilt is wet and it's damp dry. It's not dripping wet, but I rolled it in a towel. And now I'm stretching it and pinning it and squaring it off so that once it's completely dry, it will be square. And I use, so you can see the board there, that's the white foam board. And I've taken the quilt and it's finished. All the ink in the panel is washed out. The quilt is damp. And now I'm making it square and putting T-pins through the quilt into that foam board so that the quilt will dry square, no distortion. And I can't think of the name of that technique now. You can do this for every quilt. Most show quilts, large quilts, a lot of quilters will put them in the tub and they will square those quilts out and they'll use maybe the carpet, a room that has carpeting, or they'll get some foam board, or they'll use their design wall and they will square off that quilt and let it dry just like that. You have to let it dry completely before you remove it so that it will be square. So it could be for any size quilt. Blocking, that's it. Thank you, Copper. Blocking is called quilt blocking. And so this was blocked so that in the end it would be square. It got distorted. All that heavy free motion embroidery quilting, I knew that it was not going to be square. So you can use a laser light to help you, or a ruler, so that as you're pinning, you know that it's a straight line. Oh, do I worry about the thread bleeding? That's a good question. I didn't think about that, and I could have tested it because red, you never know. Um, but if it was a very important project, I might have tested it, but I didn't even think about it. The truth is, manufacturing processes change over time. And we don't know from one year to the next, one decade to the next, if that has changed. And so, if it's an important quilt and you're using something that could potentially bleed, whether it's black or red, test it. Thank you, thank you. All right, let me see. That's the last photo in that. Then I finished it off with facing. And we talked about facing before. I used some scrap fabric that I had, some fabric strips in red, and I faced it off after it was dry. It has to be completely dry before you remove it from blocking. If it's still damp, you're not going to have a square quilt. You have to let it completely dry. And depending upon the size, and how damp it was when you started the blocking process, it could take a number of days. All right, let's see. And so here she is. You can see a little bit more of the distinction between the McTavishing and the border, where it's thicker thread and a larger scale, and the very tight, dense quilting around the flowers. That's McTavishing with the lighter weight thread. Yeah, facing. I love facing. It's a neat way to finish off even a bed quilt. It doesn't have to be just art quilts. It could be any kind of quilt you like. Um, yeah. Oh, Marilyn, hi. I was thinking about you today when I saw you on Instagram, hoping that you might join us tonight. Yay. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope you're doing all right. I haven't checked Instagram in the last few hours to see if you responded, but I'm glad you are here. Awesome. Okay, ladies, I think that is it. I know that was quick on the tulip whole cloth, but you learned a couple of things. You learned about 60 weight thread, and so Terry, you're going to try some 60 weight thread, and Monica, you're going to revisit McTavishing, thinking about the letter S. And Sherry, what did you say that you wanted to do? Oh, thank you, Copper, for welcoming Marilyn. Yes. Um, Copper is going to send me some photos of some in progress work that she's doing. She has my email. What else are we going to look at for next week? I'm not sure what we're going to do next week. I've been thinking about it, and I'm not sure. I'm wondering. I had some ideas about just doing some showcases on alternative free motion quilting, some other options where I've combined free motion with walking feet. Are you ladies interested in seeing some of that? I did one quilt where I showed some walking foot with free motion. But Maybe I'll just surprise you. Maybe I'll surprise you. So thank you for being here again. And don't forget to like the video. And if you want links for the different things I've mentioned, the bottom line, the pre-printed panels, go to YouTube channel, description box below the video. And don't forget to share this with your friends, people who you think who want to learn about thread, machine quilting, and other parts of the quilting process. It's been fun. Oh, Sherry, you said facing. Okay, so Sherry's homework is facing, Monica is McTabishing, Terry is thread, and okay, so Monica says she would like to see some walking foot. And you learned a lot. I'm so glad, Sherry. And have a wonderful time with your new grandbaby. You're welcome, Sheila. And Sheila, you're going to try what? You're going to share with us in the community some progress. I hope so, to see something from you ladies. It's been quiet in there. Thank you, Wilda. So glad that you were here today. And Lorraine, if you're still here. Wilda, I know you've been piecing your quilt. I hope you've made some progress this week. I know you're halfway done with your rows. Hello, Terry. Thank you for being here. We have another Terry with 2 R's in the house. Welcome, welcome. All right, ladies. Well, I will do that. I will put together some walking foot free motion quilting. If I don't have enough to carry us for a whole live session, I might add in something else. We'll see. I'm going to look through my library of photos. All right. Well, I will see you next week. Have a fun weekend. Stay safe. Be well. Sew if you can. If you can't sew, dream about sewing. And I will see you next week. All right. All right, Wilda. Row 23. Woohoo! And Wilda says yes to walking foot quilting. All right. You know this channel is mostly about free motion quilting, but I'll do some walking foot. That's kind of a precursor to free motion quilting. Okay? Bye, Monica. Thank you. Thank you to you and Terry both for sharing your work with us tonight. And for those watching on the replay, don't forget, leave a comment. I'll respond. Thank you for watching, and we can't wait for you to join us live here Fridays, Quilt Conversations, Living Water Quilter YouTube channel. See you soon. Bye, ladies.